Alright, as we load into the session for the first time, I just want to say, welcome everybody. Thank you as well for the welcome back. I appreciate it very much. I'm very excited for this. Last week, as I'm sure everyone knows, was a very feisty, penalty-ridden affair, but 5 drivers capitalised, improving on their previous best finish from where they were so far in the season. Stars Orphan broke his 5th place streak, finally finishing in P2. Days Freak continued his streak versus teammates, securing his first podium finish of the season in the progress. 4 drivers debuted last week, but none of them finished a race. Hopefully we'll see some improvement from them today. Modular Cat now promoted to Formula 3, so Jake takes the championship lead with his Canadian Grand Prix win last time out. Jake has DNF once so far this season, but has historically been quite clean when it comes to penalties, but generally loses positions in the race, so one to look out for later today. Stars Orphan only 14 points behind now. He'll be looking to take advantage of that to grab his first trophy. Liam, still yet to finish a race this season, while Immortal yet to be out-qualified. Ferrari sit with a 40-point deficit in the Constructors' race, but the top 4 all within 6 points as it stands. The grid voted for Stars Orphan to win the race today, but who is going to come out on top? This is RSF1 Division 5, Round 5, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. I'm Harvey OC. It's a pleasure to be back with you once again, but for the first time this season, I'm joined by a returning commentator for last week who can hopefully hear me. Silky, how you doing? Yeah, you watched all 4 of the debutants last week. I know you have a history with a couple of those in there, and a couple of drivers who were here before. James didn't have their race go to plan at all. Is there anyone else you think we should keep an eye on today?
Comparison to a lot of the drivers here, and as you said, he does keep it very clean. He has DNF'd 1 race. However, from watching it back, it did seem more like a freak accident as opposed to anything that, end up on someone else's incidents. But hopefully we can see today being a lot drier. We did see a lot of rain coming through in last week's Grand Prix, which caused a lot of issues for these drivers, a lot of penalties as well, which hopefully we don't see as much of today coming through later on in this race.
Yeah, I think that was something that certainly plagued the grid last time out. Was a huge amount of penalties, and as you've said, hopefully it's not something that we see again. I mean, Abu Dhabi, obviously there's a couple chicanes and so on here, and there are certainly places where people can run out wide, but fingers crossed we don't see that quite as much this time.
I believe we saw 4 safety cars, was it, in Canada? There was a lot of action towards the end. It looked like some possibly intentional foul play in driving as well, but I won't go into too much detail in that situation. A lot of drivers to look out for. A very, very interesting one is Immortal, who did come through quite late on in last week's race and showed some very, very impressive speed to get a lot of overtakes towards the back end, but his very aggressive racing style could cause to be an issue today if he does end up making some mistakes, possibly causing himself some damage and causing him to pit earlier than he would like to. Let's see how that goes.
Yeah, Immortal is, as I go through my big stats sheet here, Immortal, well, as I say that, Immortal is the only driver so far who's yet to be beaten by a teammate in quali and the race, and has raced in all 4 races. Cryptic's not had a good run of it. I know he just topped the timing sheet there, and then he's been absolutely blitzed by James. I'm on board with Aaron at the moment, and I'm going to stay on board with Aaron for the duration of this, and hopefully show off some new fancy graphics.
Interesting to see that there is a McLaren just sideways on the track right now. I do believe that is the car of Mando.
It is. It is indeed.
He's just managed to get back on the track here. Hopefully that hasn't caused any issues for his car, causing him to pit earlier than he would like to in Q1 here. Oh, okay. He's crashed into the... It might be a problem with his wheel, potentially, judging by what's gone on there. We'll have to see how that goes.
Interesting.
very interesting take to take out the DRS signs. Maybe it's a distraction technique for later on in the qualifying. Have to see what this McLaren strategy is today. As Stars tops the star sheet. Speaking of McLaren, coming in with a 124. I think we'll see a lot of 124s coming through in qualifying. Maybe race pace looking around the 125, 126 area, but we'll have to see what kinds of times our drivers can set here today.
Yeah, I managed to tune in and watch a little bit of the practice sessions that were going on just before here, and it does seem a lot of people are struggling with turn 14 in particular.
Yes, there is a lot of opportunity to spin out, especially later on in this track, as this track is very tough on tyres. I can see people maybe pitting around the 12 lap mark here if they don't want to cause too much damage to themselves later on, as that traction around turn 13, 14 really does start to break down these cars.
So, XTG Mando crossing the line here to officially set his first time, but 148.2, obviously with 2 spins in there, not particularly representative, you wouldn't have thought just yet. We'll see as Thor crosses the line. Oh no, that's not Thor, sorry, that's his teammate, Wee Biscuits, who crosses the line there with a 125.664. Struggling to say that. Thor is coming around the final 2 corners now, just on his way down to turn 15. We'll see what he's able to do. Only one person to be eliminated from this session, so as long as you're not right at the bottom, which Stars Orphan with the 124 is pretty confident he's not going to be, I think that's fair.
It does look like it might be Daniel, as he is greyed out on the list. Interesting to see both Alfa Romeos are still in the pits, not looking to come out in Q1 yet. We do have, I believe, we just have 1 driver coming out the pits now, but 6 still in. 1 has set a lap, but 5 yet to set laps in the pits still. Obviously, it is P1, so they just need to really set a half acceptable time.
Yeah, just anything.
Yeah.
We'll jump on board with Days Freak, I say, as the game decides not to switch. There we go. We'll jump on board with Days Freak as he starts his first flying lap of the session. Honestly, I think you set a time here. I know Daniel's greyed out. I really don't know why. I didn't see him crash. I don't know if he retired in the pits and thought there were only 15 people in the session. As long as you finish here, you're going to move through. I think is the key. So we'll see what these guys are able to do.
Don't want to push those tyres too hard. Try to keep those softs in the best conditions you can. Moving into obviously Q2 and Q3, try and set yourself a nice position in the points on this grid starting out. Another position possibly to look out for here is RSA Boca Dion, who despite not necessarily having the best running so far, has been very, very quick in qualifying, setting both the fastest times in Q1 and Q2 in Canada. If he can maintain his practice speed, he could genuinely be a very, very good contender here today. Obviously, we've got the likes of Stars, Jake, all pushing in for that podium kind of area. James as well, having very, very fast running last week. Obviously, it was going very, very well for him until he started to get a couple of penalties towards the end when that rain started to pick up, but very, very good speed from him moving through the majority of that race, keeping him very consistent. It'll be interesting to see if he can follow that up this week as well and get himself back in those points.
Yeah, I think James is probably the one to look out for as in this race, as someone who definitely didn't have the showing that he expected to last time out. Ended up finishing P12, which for someone who started P2.
Also sat in the points and more importantly on the podium for I'd say around 80% of the race. Like there was no one that could really get by him. Then yeah, all of a sudden there was a couple of incidents and he just plummeted down the table. It was a real shame to see.
Yeah.
Speaking of defending very well though, another shout out to Stars, who last week just would not let any car go past him. Defended that P2 spot with his life. It'll be interesting to see if he can do that today, as Abu Dhabi is a very, very good track to get some overtakes on as well, especially like I said, after getting these reworks, making these corners flow a lot smoother. It'll be interesting to see if they have enough to get around him, as the performance he put out last week defensively was phenomenal, to say the least.
Yeah, I'll bring up on stream here as sort of to highlight that. the grid voted 4 Stars Orphan to win today. 58% of the vote.
58.
4 Stars Orphan. Jake
Both
and P2.
McLarens as well.
Yeah, Jake and P2 with 25. Mando with 8% takes up third. But yeah, over half the grid say Stars Orphan is winning this race, and he is leading so far in qualifying.
He is the people's favourite here. Obviously, he had a very, very good shout. Like you said, breaking his 5th place streak, getting himself up onto that podium. Very, very fun to see. Annoying that he didn't obviously manage to secure himself that Grand Prix win. However, as Jake is a good friend of mine, I'm not going to complain too much. I do think it's a bit harsh having him 25% as opposed to Stars with the 58% blowout, but obviously we'll have to see how they manage to compare with each other on the track here later on today.
Well, we may as well, as I think people are pulling in now to sort of wrap up this session. We'll talk about the battle that's going on between them as well. Jake leads the way in the Drivers' Championship so far, 68 points to Stars Orphans 54. I think Jake, Mando has lost his front wing completely again. I think Jake has been unlucky to not do better than that. Jeddah was not a race that went well for him. Had a racing incident turn 1, and obviously crashed out in Australia as well. He's only going to get better, but I don't know.
He had an awful incident where somebody had crashed into the back of him, completely flew into the back of him under safety car, which was an interesting one. He has had a very unfortunate run, obviously, with incidents. When he does manage to keep the race clean, which usually he does tend to, he does hold a very consistent, at the very least, podium performance. Very, very excited, obviously, to get himself into that position where he did win his first Grand Prix, as I had a chat with him after said race. And he had a great time out there. It'll be interesting to see if he can obviously keep that confidence, as well as Stars obviously growing confidence, moving up 3 positions. See if they can both challenge each other for today. To see, maybe we can see Stars win his first title. We'll have to see how that goes. But some very fast races here.
I mean, Stars, I've had a weird disconnection there, but I don't think, hopefully, much is going to happen left in the session.
I also had the same issue, so I think
very odd. Okay, maybe the lobby's closed. We'll see. We'll go back to... I have no idea what's... Oh, well, no, it looks like Wee Biscuits are disconnected as well. So I'll bring up the stand-ins. We'll talk about numbers while we wait here. Days Freak had a great race as well. Podium for him. See, it's these debutants that I'm looking at and thinking that there's a lot of performances here that I think we've not quite seen yet.
For sure.
I want to really see what James is able to do. Yui also had a good race, in fairness, a P7 from starting at the very, very bottom.
21 seconds worth of penalties last week was definitely something to look out for Yui. However, as much as it is hard to look past those, he did move from the very bottom into a prospective 2nd place prior to these penalties coming through. Yeah. Obviously, as they did, it then did proceed to completely kill off his race, which is a shame. But he did hold some very good pace. And like you said as well with Days, very, very quick, managing to get himself after penalties into that P3 position. Had some interesting words to say about some of the drivers on the grid after in said interview. However, again, I think the top 3 from last week you kind of have to look at as your top this week at most likely. They just look very quick.
I would agree. I think if you had to make a prediction, you would put Jake, Stars and Immortal on the podium. Now, historically, one of them has had an issue or an incident so far. Stars has managed to keep it very consistent, finishing P5 for 3 races and then a P2.
Mr. Consistency himself.
Truly. I mean, you can't ask for much more than that, really. But Days, I think, could be up there as well. It needs a bit of luck, but can make it happen. Thor, I think, has been unlucky so far as well. We could see him further up there. But Wee Biscuits pulled out that P3 from kind of nowhere in Jeddah, I believe, as well. There's a whole number of names that you could expect to see right at the top. But I think James is going to be the one for people to look out for here. As someone who,
sure.
Yeah, was comfortably amongst that top pack for a little while last time out, and is nowhere to be seen on that standing sheet, unfortunately.
I think in general it's going to be. I think it's hard to predict in Division 5 as we do have a very, very similar crop in terms of ability on the grid here. Like, we do have some characters here who do tend to obviously go very, very fast in qualifying, but they are prone to some mistakes. Like Immortal, for example, his very aggressive, like, undercutting of drivers does tend to cause him some wing damage that causes him the occasional pit, which can obviously completely write off a race for him in terms of looking at a podium position. You've got Boca Dion, who is scorchingly quick in qualifying, and then just obviously has the situation of when it comes to actual race conditions, tends to struggle a little bit more. So
Yeah.
I think every driver here definitely has their pros and cons. It'll just have to be what they manage to pull out today and what obviously is going to be the best situation for each driver here. We could see P1 in qualifying holding so for most of the night. We could see them struggling with obviously some very quick drivers behind them, forcing them into mistakes. A lot of penalties as well coming through around, like you said, turn 13, 14, when you're looking at spin outs, corner cuts. It could be a very, very interesting night here.
Yeah, I will. We'll switch over just to the constructors. As I'll let everyone know that there is a full lobby restart happening, because it doesn't seem like it was just us that got disconnected. It was an entire lobby thing, so we'll be getting back in shortly, and I guess doing those first 18 minutes all over again. Yeah, constructors is a bit of a different mix right now. I mean, I said in the intro that it's 6 points, but it's not actually. Since the recent adjustments, it's now 4 points out between the top four, which is wild. I think Alpine were probably not expecting to be pulling away as much as they were before, now that Modular Cat is gone. And I think with the two McLaren drivers being comfortably towards the top, most races, we'll see them take the lead as well. But Jake's got pace, and could certainly be up there. And I think Ferrari down in fifth on only 44 points, you'd be expecting that to change quite quickly as well.
Interesting to see across all divisions as well how much heavy lifting Jake is actually doing for Alfa Romeo, picking up around a quarter of the entire team's points across all 5 divisions, if not after last week's race, possibly more. It seems like he's doing a lot of heavy lifting for Alfa Romeo, but as you said, McLaren very consistent up there in the points, with Stars and his teammate obviously pushing very, very well in these cars, getting themselves into just 2 points off of the Alpine, which obviously was driven by Modular Cat. We will most likely see them start to drop down a little bit as we get further on into this season, which would be a shame to see, but SDK realistically had no right being down here in Division 5.
I think it's telling to show that shows how consistent McLaren have been, where despite only having 2 podiums amongst the Alpine above them with 2 wins and Alfa Romeo behind them with a win and 2 podiums, that they're only 2 points behind Alpine and ahead of Alfa Romeo. That's how good they've been so far this season. They've just not had a taste of the silverware just yet. I'm shocked it's only 2 second places, but that is just how good they are. Stars is so consistent, and Mando is able to get himself up there as well. I can only expect to see more.
It's interesting to see that despite Immortal only being in 3rd in the Drivers' Championship, Ferrari a huge drop behind Haas in terms of constructors here. His teammate just doesn't seem to really be giving and getting the most out of this car as Immortal is, which is obviously a shame to see and can possibly be very, very frustrating for him here as we move later on into this season, as that gap possibly continues to increase. But still holding a very respectable 3rd place for himself here, getting everything out of that Ferrari that he possibly can. Really pushing that car to its limits. He's driving very, very well here at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, there's very much a tale of 2 drivers going on here at Ferrari. You've got Immortal, who DNF the first race, in fairness, alongside his teammate, but has since then been able to finish on the podium at Australia, and then 4th at Saudi and 4th in Canada, as opposed to Cryptic, who also DNF the first race, only scored 2 points at Australia, and then has not raced since. Immortal is doing all the heavy lifting there, but this is Cryptic's first race back in 3 weeks now, so hopefully we'll be able to see something else for him. He's can be a little heavy on the penalty side, it must be said.
Yeah.
And not particularly fast in qualifying either. I know struggled in the practice as well, but you know, you got 3 weeks out, you got a longer qualifying session here as well, you got even more time here now to practice, so hopefully when it comes to the actual race, we'll see Cryptic challenging a little bit more, and another guy from Northern Ireland, so I have to back him a little bit. That's how it goes.
I think another team that we kind of seem to be writing off here, but definitely shouldn't completely kick out of this race, is Haas. Obviously with Daniel and El Alves pushing through on these Haas cars. Only 4 points behind Alpine, on the same points here as Alfa Romeo, but they don't really seem to be getting the same kind of talking as obviously the McLarens, who are only 2 points ahead of them. In terms of consistency, they've also been very, very consistent here in these Haas cars. It'll be interesting to see if they can start to push themselves up further in the grid, possibly look to challenge on with the McLaren, on with the Alpine, and push into that top 3 area in the Constructors' Championship, maybe move even further up, as they don't really seem to be getting any form of attention here, which feels a bit disrespectful with how well they are driving here at the moment.
I think Daniel certainly has the pace. He's qualified P2 so far this season. He's finished just outside the podium as well in P4 back at Australia. Dropped off a little bit around Saudi Arabia and Canada. Maybe doesn't do as well with the tighter circuits. He did also crash out, like not even the final corner on the final straight at Baku in the debut race, which was interesting. These things happen. And so hopefully he'll be able to pick that up again. Now we're back to a slightly wider track. I can't tell you where he was. Oh no, he retired, didn't he? He didn't make it out of the tunnel. That was what happened. I did hear that. He didn't make it out of the tunnel. So again, when walls are involved, Daniel doesn't do well. But hopefully, if he can actually make it onto the track here, he'll be able to get a result out of the bag.
Speaking obviously of walls causing drivers problems, it will be interesting to see if Thor's managed to get a hold of his wheel here today, as his wheel was causing him issues towards the start in qualifying, forcing him into a wall in Q2. Hopefully we don't see any more technical issues like that coming through on his end, as he doesn't honestly drive badly, but having the issues with his obviously wheel putting him into a wall is not going to do him absolutely any favours here as he looks to go around Abu Dhabi, which again is a track that moving into the middle like 10s towards laps, you are going to need to be looking at your tyre wear and making sure you don't end up pushing too hard and spinning out towards the back end of this track here today.
Countdown finally beginning once again to get us back into this this session. It will be back to full quali, I believe.
Yeah, it's looking like a complete reset. Obviously having some technical issues after Q1, kicking everyone out of the session. But we did see a couple of 124s, though they were towards the higher end of such. I think towards Q2 and Q3 we can start to see their numbers drop down a bit. Obviously drivers not wanting to push their cars too hard here today. It's a shame that we don't see JJ here tonight, the people's champion. A big shame we don't see JJ on the grid here today, but interesting to see how these drivers come through here in Q1 as we start our restart, as the rest of these drivers just connected now.
Let's get back into it. Eager now. Want this to get underway.
I think we've got a lot of hungry drivers here on the grid coming through into the Yas Marina arena. This will be a very, very interesting race as we move forward here today.
Do I do the race intro again?
As well.
I don't know. I don't know for the YouTube guys what we have to do. No, we won't. We'll ease back into it.
Let's see who decides to come out of the pits here first in Q1, as most people seem to be just chilling with their race engineers, maybe talking strategies later on in the race here. No one seems particularly eager.
Give me a wild prediction, Silky. Give me something deep from the back pocket.
Stars to DNF tonight.
Stars to DNF.
Not by his choice.
Oh, that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted.
I don't know whether we see some potentially foul play like we did towards the back end of Canada, or we do see maybe a potential very heavy undercut from Immortal that he was performing on Canada, which obviously had some wider turns. As these turns start to get a bit narrow with a couple of hairpins here, maybe these undercuts do cause him some problems, as he does defend very strong. If maybe the driver behind him gets frustrated and tries to push past further than their usual limits, we could potentially see Stars get in some trouble here, which is my bold prediction. How about you?
27 lap race today, right?
29?
29?
Yeah.
Lap 24 safety car.
You think it's going to take that long?
Oh, no. I think we'll see 2 or 3 before then, but...
Yeah.
Lap 24
I think we'll see one
car.
definitely around the halfway point as we start to look between transitioning between tyres. But lap 24, I will keep a note of that one.
I'll give you another. Podium sitter with 4 stops.
Ooh.
There you go.
Do you know what? With the amount of safety cars we could potentially see today, I don't doubt that.
There were a number of 5-stoppers last time out. Now, no one, I think the top 3 were all 2 stops, I want to say. I mean, you get a lot of stops in Division 5. That is something we're known for.
Yes.
You get quite a few, but...
saying that, though, from having the opportunity to commentate on Division 3 last week as well, I will say that there was a driver who, I don't remember who it was off the top of my head, I feel like it may have been Ipswich, started on wets and still pitted 3 times, replacing said wet tyres, which was an interesting strategy, which obviously cost him later on, as you don't really need to be looking to swap out those wet tyres, but interesting to see how we look through stops here today, as we have our drivers just coming through their outlaps. Now, I do believe we have one of our Alpines close to crossing the line here, about to start their first flying lap. I believe it is the Alpine of Biscuit going through for the first flying lap.
Jump on board with him for you. There you go.
What do you think of what we're expecting so far from the new cars, which seem to be unveiled within Formula 1? Obviously, we've seen a couple of them come through. So what are your opinions so far with the ones we have obviously seen, and some of the ones that we do expect to come through later on in the reveals?
I like Alfa Romeos again this time around. I'm a big fan of the Alfa Romeo schemes in general. I'm a little disappointed they've gotten rid of the Pokeball wheels and gone for all red, but it is what it is. I mean,
Williams.
The theme is the Williams is nice. The theme is definitely is weight saving. We're going to see a lot more carbon fiber this year than we did even just last year. But that's all right. It looks nice. It's not terrible. Lots of fastest laps.
Other ones we've seen, I believe it's in Red Bull, which ironically looks exactly the same as every other Red Bull car that ever comes out. Wasn't really expecting too much there.
There's a new Haas too. The Haas was revealed.
There is a new Haas. Again, doesn't look too dissimilar to what it usually does.
No, and it's exactly the same as it was 2 years ago, I think, as well. I love it. I think it's great.
Right, yeah.
Straight into the pits though. Love that. Good timing.
Head down into the pits. You can just tell. Look to be setting a relatively impressive pace there as well. That is quite a shame. I do believe the reasoning behind why we did cancel Q1 was because Daniel never got in, as obviously he's now here driving in this Haas here today. But that could have been a potential reason why.
No, Daniel did make it in. He crashed in the tunnel.
Oh!
Yeah. Daniel confirmed that he crashed in the tunnel. It was a full... to be honest, I'm not entirely sure why it was a complete full restart. I expected more we'd go to a short quali here, but that's okay. Daniel crashed in the tunnel, which I think...
Interesting. Impressive.
That's got to be a bit of a confidence killer going forward here. That can't be good for you, but...
Be interesting to see how he does set himself his first flying lap here, though, in this Haas.
I'm just on
He's
board
just
at the moment
pushing
with Immortal.
around this final area here. We're going to see Daniel just come across the line. Let's see what time he's looking to set here. Coming through the 1:26.7, it should be enough to get him through into Q2. We'll have to see obviously how some of these drivers fare later on in Q1 here, but that should potentially be enough to get him through.
Immortal on a pretty strong lap so far as well. He's going to cross the line now. Puts in P2 with a 1:25.307. Stars
Very
Orphan's
interesting.
not where he was last time, but I believe that's because he set a lap on the mediums here, so probably not going to see something quite as fast. Cryptic on his way round as well. I think he's the only one on a flying lap that's yet to set one as it stands, and he's invalidated.
2 laps deep on this car as well. He's going to need to get into the pits here, as these softs are going to be taking a heavy beating here in Q1. Interesting to see how many drivers have come out with the softs in Q1. You would have thought they would have maybe saved them as we move into Q2 and Q3 and just test those mediums here. But a lot of soft tyres here, as we only have Lisa and Dion here on the mediums.
Cryptic staying out as well.
Oh wow, interesting approach here, as these tyres, like I said, are taking an absolute beating now 2 laps deep. As he comes around, he's obviously not got... Oh, that is a spin. Maybe he should have gone for them fresh tyres. Obviously 2 laps isn't going to cause too much damage to a soft set. However, he might not have possibly turned out there had he been on a nice fresh set of softs, not pushing this car. That is a shame to see in Q1. To get that car back into the pits, get that confidence back, and just rewind. Got Biscuits coming through on the outlap here. Interesting to see no one is looking to push for one of those 124s as we come through Q1 here. I'd have expected to see maybe 1 or 2 of them. I do believe this Mando coming through with a 3-lap set of softs here. Don't know if this is looking to be either a hot lap or just getting himself back through to the pits. We'll have to see how he takes it. It's not looking like he's burning that ERS though, so I do believe Mando will be on his way into the pits here.
Stars is back out on track as well, which is interesting.
I thought he might sit on that 127. I don't think he needs to really do any more damage to this car, unless he maybe overheard us talking about setting a 124. Let's see what kind of pace he's going to hit, as he absolutely flies around sector 1 here, coming through the hairpin, holding a very, very impressive amount of speed coming through there. Goes down this straight now through sector 2. It'll be impressive to see what kind of speed he can get out of this McLaren here today. Obviously Mr. Consistency himself. Just going to approach the chicane now, moving in through to sector 3. Drops a little bit of speed in the first exit, but manages to pick up a nice little whip around through the second. It's looking like we might see him move up a couple places here, as that 127 is not his regular pace. Very well taken banked turn there, holding an impressive 140 coming out. See how he just takes these right angle turns here, coming through to the checkered flag. I think we could see maybe a 120, maybe a high 124, low 125. And he takes his final turn here. That's looking like a 124. No, it's a 120. Oh, no, it's not. 126.1 from Stars moves him up into P5 in Q1. I think he can definitely get a lot more out of this car, though.
Not where he wanted to be.
Not at all. Interesting to see that we still have 5 drivers yet to set lap times here, as Dion has gone. Is he coming out? Oh, he's coming out of the pits now, finally. We do have Jake, obviously, on his hot lap here now. Going to come out right next to Dion. Hopefully we don't see any traffic here as he comes round. Gets by him completely fine. Biscuit saying a 125. Jake setting a purple sector 1 here. Obviously did win in Canada last week. It'll be interesting to see if he can intimidate the rest of the grid here and set an impressive Q1, possibly Q2 and Q3 to put himself into that front row. of the grid moving into the start of this race. Drops a lot of speed there, moving through the chicane in sector 2 as he now prepares to come down this straight here. Purple sector 1 coming up very, very quick. See if he can hold this pace as he comes around the rest of this track here.
Purple sector 2 as well.
He's moving at a very, very terrific pace here, getting the absolute most out of this Alfa Romeo. Takes that right angle turn very, very well here. I'm looking like this could potentially be a 124. Obviously, Purple Sector 1 and Sector 2. This is very, very quick here from Jake. Absolutely flies around the final corner. You're going to see a 124. Oh, he just takes that last turn really badly with a lot of understeer. He's not going to appreciate that. That was a very impressive lap until that point. That's going to kill him.
Like to see what Bocadion can do here as well, as he's starting his first flying lap of the session so far. These freaks still in the pits. That makes me wary, I won't lie.
That is causing a lot of concern. Did start from the very, very back, obviously in Canada as well, and had a very, very impressive run out. Obviously forcing that car to its absolute limit in that. I do believe he is in the Williams here. Yes, he is. Very, very quick last week. It'll be interesting to see if he can do the same. Obviously, Bocadion had a very impressive qualifying out in Canada, but just couldn't match that on track when it came to actual race conditions, which was devastating to see. But it'll be interesting to see if he can get the most out of his Red Bull here, as he just does seem to be using the mediums here in qualifying 1, playing it safe, not trying to burn any necessary rubber here, as he just comes through. Hopefully enough just to get him into Q2. See what we can get out of this car. A very, very, very slow lap here. Gonna have a bit of traffic here now as well, moving through into sector 3 with the Aston Martin and Ferrari respectively. Do seem to be giving way though here as he comes around these final 2 corners. Should be around a 126, possibly a 125. 125.4. That is going to be enough to get him through. Sat quite comfortably in P5 on mediums, by the way. It's like I said, he's one definitely not right off here in qualifying. He holds very, very good pace in qualifying. He definitely does spend a lot of time in time trials, and you can tell.
Motive Carrot setting a lap as well now. Only 2 drivers yet to set a time, and Motive Carrot being one of them. She's on the softs. You'd expect a slightly faster time
here too. Looks like Freak is finally going to come through here and set a time. Just taking things nice and slow around the track here as he looks to start his flying lap.
Lisa Vince retiring in the pit lane with the fastest time, with the slowest time so far. That is confidence.
Risky move. Very risky. Do we possibly expect to see a day's invalidation? I can't personally see it.
Surely not. I mean, he'll have 2 attempts here as well.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a big mistake from Lisa here.
Hope we'll be alright. Lisa with only 1 points finished so far. But plenty of opportunity, I think. There always seems to be... Oh, that is one invalidation! Hang on then!
This could be an upset here. He's going to have to make it very, very quick around this track if he wants to get himself another run through. 3 minutes still to go. He should make it in time to get at least one more lap. I hope he doesn't burn too much of this ERS. He is still pushing
he is in overtake mode. He's using that ERS. He's not switched it off. He's not going to have any left.
It's looking like he was just using it down that straight, but hopefully we don't see him burn through it. And oh, he's still cooking.
He's burning again. He's burning again.
Oh my! What an approach this is for days here tonight.
This is the stuff of dreams. This is why you tune into RSF1 Division 5.
You don't see these strategies anywhere else. And he has burnt half of his ERS coming through onto his flying lap here. If he doesn't set a time on this lap, he could be in big trouble tonight. should be coming across the line around the 2-minute 10 mark here.
Is he pitting? He's pitting. He's given up.
Oh,
he's pitting.
My.
Days Freak out. The only driver out in Q1.
What a confident play from Lisa to choose to
that is ballsy.
It has paid off.
Oh, that is beautiful. As I say, stuff of dreams.
What an upset here in Q1 as Days looks to finish right towards the back of the pack again. Obviously had a very impressive run out last week, performing on bar and on track to get himself up into the podium despite starting from, I believe, second last potentially. He was towards the back of the grid, that's for sure. Be interesting to see what he can get out of this car here today in Abu Dhabi.
With Liam not racing today, that does actually cement Days Freak, which he's not going to like this. That cements him as the worst qualifier of the season so far.
Oh no. Not going well for him.
The only person who had qualified worse on average so far was Liam, who is not racing today. And so, yeah, that does actually put Days Freak worse. I give you the total...
We actually do have a car coming out here right at the end. We have Mando looking to set a shock lap here towards the very, very end here of Q1.
Cryptic,
see Mando pull an upset here.
Cryptic is also setting a time at the moment. Mando's not going to make it round to start a lap here, so I don't know what the thinking behind that is. Cryptic's on a lap and is absolutely bombing it round. But
I don't think it's going to be enough though. It's only 1:15 here and still has 3-4 turns to go. It should beat his previous 1:30. However, really does need to start looking at increasing his time if he does want to rival his teammate Immortal, who is currently sat in P3 in Q1 here. Oh, does he hold it? The 129 is slightly better. He does need to really be looking at getting more out of this Ferrari here though, as his teammate a whopping 4.5 seconds ahead. It's just the difference, the disparity between these two drivers is insane. Interesting decision from Mando to decide to come out there in the very end of Q1, just putting unnecessary wear here on those soft tyres is not what we want to be seeing here. Not a very good strategy at all from the McLaren team here.
Unless we've got a weird desync and he is actually going to get a chance to settle out. No? I'm not sure. No. That is very odd.
Nah, it's an interesting approach there. And that should be the end of... Oh, it looks like Cryptic is almost in a wall there. Interesting.
I think he's pushing again, which he really doesn't need to be.
No, I think 129 obviously is going to be enough to get him through into Q2 here. No one else obviously out on track here. It is just him. But it's still, I mean, obviously not using the ERS as much, but still pushing his car relatively respectfully. Just unnecessary wear on this tyre. Oh, a spin out. That's not going to do those tyres any favours here. It's that corner is causing so many people issues here tonight.
We've got not much else to do, so we'll watch that back again while we wait for something else to occur. Just as you say, an unnecessary lap to go for. And it's more wear on the tyres that just wasn't needed. He's cutting all the corners as well.
Spinning again,
around.
By the way, just for the line here.
Nearly hitting the wall.
Oh my. Cryptic here driving on ice today. Hopefully that doesn't... Oh my god, doing another
He's doing here. Donuts.
Oh, is this an intimidation strategy from the Ferrari to give Immortal an advantage? Having to just move out of the way to let Mando's car just come through safely. Interesting here from Cryptic. Not seeming to be able to get any grip here on this Ferrari. Could potentially cause some big issues here later on tonight as we do start to see more wear hit those soft tyres. Fastest in Q1 does seem to be Wee Biscuit with a 125.1. I do believe as we move through into Q2 and Q3, we'll start to see a lot of these numbers come down into the 124s.
Look at that though. Bocadine on 3 tenths off on the medium tyres. That is a phenomenal lap.
Like I said, you can't write him off here on this qualifying. He holds such good pace in quali. He just doesn't seem to hold it through going into actual race conditions, which is a big shame, but we could potentially see a different story tonight. Interesting, Stars only down in P8 off of Q1. I do believe he was just playing it safe, setting a respectable time. We'll have to see, obviously, how that does play out moving into the latter stages of qualifying here today.
Well, there's one shock so far.
One of hopefully many tonight.
I know we expected a couple, but
interesting to see Days Freak not moving here into Q2, failing to register a time in general. We do have a Ferrari straight out of the pits. It does look to be the Ferrari of Cryptic Sinner, looking to see if he can hopefully maintain some grip here and set hopefully a more impressive time than they did towards the end of Q3. Obviously not managing to hold any grip in this Ferrari spinning out. Be interested to see what he can do here in Q2. Camembert Savard says breaking news, 2023 Ferrari car will be red. That one is a hot take. You know what, I'd love to see a bit of classic like Ferrari sports car vibes and then just go for like off-brand, hit us with some yellow. I think it would be very interesting, but I could just never see it happening. Does look like Cryptic will be the first here to start their flying lap, with the Haas of Daniel just behind him on this straight coming through sector 3 here. Hopefully we can see some quicker times here in Q2 as we do start to get to the cutting point where we will now lose 5 of these drivers in the next 15 minutes. Cryptic already invalidating. Not a very good start at all here.
only an outlap though, at least.
Yeah, I'd say at least it's on the outlap, so it should not potentially cause too many issues for him, but could be a bit of a confidence hit here. Obviously struggling to get any grip on this car as is. Interesting, Boca Dion is still on mediums here, by the way, not choosing to push onto the softs in the second set of qualifying. Be interesting to see if he does decide in Q3 to push into them softs. Obviously, it looked to set a more impressive time, but holding P5 on mediums is a very, very respectful result here from the Red Bull here today.
I think it's a risky strat to continue to use the mediums again.
Yeah, very, very risky.
At this stage, I wouldn't have chosen to use them twice in a row. I think using them in Q1 is all right, but yeah, it's an odd decision.
Yeah, I mean, I would obviously not be opposed to using them in Q1, especially with only 16 drivers here on the grid today. It's not really much of a risk. However, moving into Q2, where we're starting to see more of these drivers do start to get cut away, the mediums could potentially cause us some problems. However, a high 125 is still very... Ooh, the Ferrari here of Cryptic spinning out again!
It's a big drift.
He's on this car today.
He's overcooked that coming through the penultimate turn there. We'll say, just as we were watching him as well, I'm seeing the McLarens are very close to each other on the way around. I think one of them got slipstream this time, and so hopefully we'll see a trade next time around here. There's another spin for Cryptic, who will jump back on board with. Stars. He's right in the middle of the track there. So now
you've to get out of the way.
You've got to think that Stars is going to try and pull away a little bit here, and then give Mando all the slipstream that he needs up this straight. Let's have a look and see if that occurs.
Potentially a McLaren 1-2 front line here moving in. Obviously, if they do proceed to use this strategy as well in Q3. Very good teamwork here though from the McLaren to decide to put each other out in this qualifying section here. Still 4 drivers in the pits not choosing to come out yet. Bocadillon again with a very respectable middle 125 here on these mediums. He is also currently doing some cross country, but we won't talk about that section.
I will say, we gave him credit, but Stars Orphan has given Mando absolutely no slipstream whatsoever.
Oh my.
He's made sure that he is well out in front.
Making sure that McLaren know who their star driver is here. The Stars gives his teammate absolutely no respect.
I was going to say, I wasn't going to mention it because it clearly didn't matter anymore, but I've changed the tune. It definitely does. The quali battle so far between the McLaren drivers this season, Stars Orphan out-qualifying Mando 3 times so far, and set to continue that by the looks of things. I thought that was a clear opportunity for a bit of teamwork there for McLaren, especially with them needing to reel in some points in the championship, but apparently not. Stars Orphan, being selfish, only looking out for himself, perhaps as RSF1 Sergeant there has mentioned in the chat, a promotion on the cards, and so decided to make the most of his final race and take the clean air for himself. That was
it's looking like we're going to have an interesting discussion here between both McLaren drivers in the pits as they both do pull in. Probably see Mando starts from playing at his teammate, not giving him any form of respect or opportunity to move up in qualifying here. Currently sat with a 126.2. Obviously with the slipstream of Stars would have been able to get a considerably more respectful result here. But very interesting for Stars to take such a selfish approach. Like you said, possibly looking to impress, moving up into another division, put a name on his back as he looks for that opportunity. But this could potentially cause some problems later on today, as we might see the two McLarens possibly battle it out for a kind of ego battle, as Stars is looking to cement himself here as McLaren's star driver tonight.
Lisa Vince just making sure that she's out of the way of everybody there before she starts her first flying lap of this Q2.
Another Ferrari spin out, and it is not the Ferrari of Cryptic, as we do see Immortal come to a halt here. The Ferrari do seem to be really struggling for grip here today. This could be a problem obviously later on, as Immortal does like to push this car to its limits. If we start to see some problems here with tyre management, his risky driving style could cause him some issues as he looks to go around people on these hairpins and chicanes respectively.
Worth pointing out as well that Daniel had a spin coming out of the penultimate turn there as well. So lots of cars struggling for grip in this session now.
Abu Dhabi, with its reworks, notorious now for being quite a hard track to maintain towards the back end. It'll be interesting to see how many safety cars, if any, we do see today. I am expecting to see maybe 1 or 2. Those drivers do start to get frustrated towards the back end. We'll have to see obviously how this does play out here tonight, as we have both of the Aston Martins very close to each other here. Looks like Stars is the only person on board to set a 124 hit in Q2 so far, unless we obviously do see a late upset from Jake, who is just starting a hot lap from what I can see in this Alfa Romeo. Obviously these two do seem to be at the moment the two favourites for the Drivers' Championship. This will be a very interesting battle as we do move later on into this RSF1 season. He does hold that hairpin very, very well here in this Alfa Romeo. Unfortunately, obviously on his last lap, did lose it on that last turn. We don't really see any of that here today, as it was a very, very impressive time, setting both the purple sector 1 and 2, yet only managing to sit in P4 respectively at the end of Q1. So yeah, I managed to push this Alfa Romeo here towards the back end, as we do see the Ferrari of Cryptic spin out again on this final area. Just struggling to get any sort of grip here on that car, completely invalidating that lap. Jake now does push through sector 3, holding a 160, 170 now, coming down into this 90-degree turn. Holds his speed quite well as he runs round through this bank here. Again, another 90-degree turn coming up underneath the bridge, takes that very respectably as well. We could potentially see a time here, two rival Stars, just comes around this final corner Obviously at a pace that's even over 125. Oh, it's a low 125 there for Jake, putting him in P4, but I know he can get more out of this car, and I think he knows it too, kicking himself here as he brings his car back around to go back into the pits.
I think we're probably in the position here where the 125 is going to be enough to get you through to the next round of qualifying. A couple drivers sitting outside of that right now, most in the 126s.
We have Grit here just setting a 120, I believe a 127 here.
Yeah,
it
127.
might potentially be enough to save him. We'll have to see how some of these late runners do decide to come through, with Carrot now just about to set a time coming through on their flying lap. We do still have Immortal, who does need to set a lap here too. Biscuit comes with a time. Lisa is looking at all of the people below 130 are going to make it through, unless we do see obviously a very, very quick lap here from Immortal, which is to be expected. I think we'll see a quicker lap from Biscuit as well, and obviously we still have Carrot.
Oh no!
Oh, Cryptic. What on earth is going on here?
That's twice that's happened to Cryptic.
What on earth is going on in this Ferrari grid here? Completely different races, always, from both of these two. Yellow flags all around the track now. Be interesting to see if we can see any more 124s set here in Q2. I don't think we need to see people push these cars too hard. But we do have Carrot now coming around, just passing by the car of Lisa Vince. Has Carrot got a good lap in them to get themselves here. Obviously 115 coming around this second last turn. Looking like this is going to be possibly a late 120s here. The Alpha now has Brit holding off as well. 128 possibly, 127 for Carrot should potentially be enough to get them through, unless we do see a late upset here. Now pushing Brit out of Q2 here, just missing out by 0.5 seconds. We do still have Immortal here as well, who's just started a hot lap looking to register a time.
We say that it's a tale of two drivers down at Ferrari, but the 14th and 15th at the moment. Obviously, Cryptic, will not be improving on that, but it's closer than it has been recently. We'll see what Immortal's able to do. We've got he got enough time, I think. Well, no, an invalidation here will still give him a chance to set another lap, but we saw this cost Days Freak not too long ago, so
hopefully we don't see an upset, a freak upset, if you will.
Wait.
Where obviously Days did miss out in the situation of managing to invalidate his lap with not enough time to go back around a circuit there. But obviously Immortal does seem to be holding his car pretty well, coming round that bank corner by the minute mark, almost losing it just coming out of that turn. Hopefully we don't see him touch onto the curb here and spin out like his teammate does seem to do around this area, and many other drivers here tonight as well. Obviously struggling for grip, looking to cut through these curbs. Immortal flying around. This could be a 124, possibly, maybe a 125. It's a 125.5, putting into P4. P5 now as Biscuit comes. Mando coming through as well. The late upset, looking to show stars who the real driver of McLaren is here. No slipstream from his teammate as well.
Look at that though, Thor up to P4, Alpine not far off. Really good performance from both guys so far.
McLaren here could have a problem on their hands, as Mando does want to show stars who the real boss here is of this company, coming through at 0.1 seconds quicker than his teammate respectively, without the slipstream. What a lap that is there from Mando.
Grit's going to be the last driver now to try and make something happen here. James currently in P10. He's on a lap and looking to improve.
Second quicker than everyone else here.
But Grit around the final three turns now. Currently at 127.7. Needs to improve by over a second and a half if they want to make it to Q3 here. And knock out
anything
James.
below a 126 is in the safety point.
Yeah. Great. 125 is
are actually out here on outlaps, as it does look like Jake is going to come through here and try to set one last time to move up from P8 here. Brit is still going here, just starting this hot lap. Getting a good amount of speed here out of this Alfa Romeo coming around that heavy bank turn here. The Alfa Romeo of BZH Jake is also set to start another hot lap, hoping to improve on that time. Hopefully we don't see any late spins moving through, as he has spoken to me prior to the race and said that he has been having problems with spinning out towards the back end of this track, as many of the other drivers on the grid here have today.
I think Brickrit's going to be the man to watch here. Needs to set a pretty good time if they want a shot at moving through to Q3 now.
Be interested to see if James can possibly undercut Brit, if Brit does manage to make it through though, as James is still on a lap here.
Purple sector 2.
Currently than their previous lap.
Purple sector 2 for Brickrit though.
James has set a faster time than previous though. We could see Brit possibly make it in and then proceed to get undercut if they do only manage to secure that 10th spot. Interested to see what he can get here out of that Alfa Romeo. He just comes around the penultimate corner here, now coming through the final corner. And it's looking like across the line at a 126. Across the line 126. But I don't think it will be enough, as James is going to look to come around currently quicker than his previous time. We could see a late upset from Grit dropping out of Q2 here if James does push this AlphaTauri to its limits. We'll see how this goes for him around this final stretch here.
Oh, no!
Oh,
no!
That's going to hurt. That's going to hurt James, taking that corner way too wide there.
He'll finish the lap anyway.
You gotta respect it.
Oh.
Ironically quicker, still taking it that wide.
There's a 126 flat.
Yeah, that would have been enough.
James losing out from running wide. The drama, the last minute drama. 2 eliminations there after the checkered flag has fallen. In 2 sessions, Mando has said there that a 124.639 is his fastest, and he won't be improving on that. So that's the benchmark. The gauntlet has been laid. Can Stars Alford improve and take him down? I mean, that's assuming Mando can equal it. But
Mando,
yeah, I guess
looking very, very impressive here today. I do think there's a lot of competition here between both McLaren drivers, looking to fuel each other both to limits that they haven't tested yet so far this season. But right now it's looking like a McLaren front line is potentially on the cards.
James not happy with his performance there either. Boca Dion has moved through on the mediums once again.
I told you, the pace this man holds through qualifying is frightening. Still holding fresh softs here as well. It'll be interesting to see if he pulls it out in Q3 and sets what could potentially be a front of the grid start.
You're expecting an absolute blinder, really, aren't you, at that point? With what, 3 sets of softs he can utilise now? Ugh.
You could see an absolute masterclass here, as he has chosen to come out on the softs so far. Be interesting to see if he does decide to change this before he does come out. But Dion, if he does come out on the softs, is his car coming out through? No, we do have an Alpine coming out first.
There's a Haas further down as well. Daniel on his way out too.
Of Daniel and Biscuits of the Alpine are now coming out. We do also have Jake coming out now. Mando coming out. I believe that is everyone out so far. Oh no, we have the other McLaren of Stars just behind him, going to possibly look to get the slipstream off of his teammate again. Very rogue strategies here from McLaren.
The slipstream that he didn't offer previously?
We also do have the Red Bull of Boca Dion here on softs behind them. So we're keeping an eye on him here in Q3, looking set hopefully a very respectable 124 margin racetrack time here. Everyone now obviously out on softs, being as it is Q3, and we are now looking at potential grid places here. This is where it all matters. This is what it all comes down to here tonight in Abu Dhabi. In RSF1.
Here we go, Silky, with 10 minutes and 38 seconds to go. Give me the name. Who's starting on pole?
Oh, do you know what? I'm going with Dion. on these softs, setting quick times on the mediums in Q1 and Q2. If he can push this car here on these softs, we could see a Red Bull front in P1 or P2. However, I'm pushing for P1.
There's only one man on this grid who has started on pole so far this season, and I think he's set to continue that. Jake is going to be leading the way down to turn 1.
You think? Honestly, he's not been holding that pace that he's been holding on previous tracks here on Abu Dhabi, though.
Doesn't need to. Just needs it for one lap.
This is where it all matters. This is what it's all down to.
Exactly.
I'll be keeping my eyes here on the Red Bull of RSA Boca Dion as he does look to start his first flying lap of Q3, warming up his tyres with a very, very wide slalom through Sector 3. Going around the final corner here as he looks to go across the line to begin his run here today. Interesting to see that we do still have an Alfa Romeo in the pits, as Britt does not want to be coming out with all this traffic right now. Dion absolutely scorching these corners, going around at speeds of 160. He pushes everything out of this car in qualifying. Just don't understand where it all goes at race time. Going to look to push speeds over 200 here now as he comes down this straight through Sector 2. See how he takes the chicane at the start of Sector 3 here, as he does look to lose a little bit of speed on the first turn, but gets a lot of it back coming out of the chicane there. So Aaron's going to be setting a relatively okay time here. Going to have, Daniel with a 126. Very quick. Mando with a 125.9. I'll be interested to see how his teammate looks to possibly upset that, pushing through what could maybe be a faster lap here. Starts with a 125 flat. Ooh. Yeah, Boca Dion though coming around Sector 3, holding blistering pace here.
We'll say he's taken turn 14 there absolutely phenomenally. Jake, there it is.
Oh my god, there's Jake, but I do think Dion could potentially beat that. 124.7 from Dion.
6 laps set and 6 fastest laps. Aaron! Where has that come from?
Pushing this Mercedes to its brink here. We do have Immortal now as well, flying around Sector 3 here. Obviously very, very quick in qualifying and in race speed in general. Locks up there towards Sector 3, and that looks like he might have collided with the barricade as well. Oh no, do we potentially see some wing damage there for Immortal? Is he going to look to go into the pits here?
Yeah, straight in. Yeah, straight
into the pits. That is a shame to see as he locks up there around that 90s where he turned through Sector 3. That final area of this track so harsh on brakes and tyres. That is a shame to see him lock up there.
Wow.
Let's have Brit on.
Right. Let's discuss that then. So we had 6 times set.
That was a lot of action in a very short amount of time.
They were all fastest laps. Daniel crossed the line first, then he had Mando, then Rebiscuits, then Starzolf, and then Jake, then Pocket, then Aaron. Aaron is a name that we haven't mentioned so far at all.
Aaron was never even remotely on my list, with all due respect to being in a position where I could have potentially seen him set a front running time here. But I do, if I'm not mistaken, believe he did set a relatively impressive time in qualifying in Canada as well, but it was in Q3 as well. I don't know if he does just decide to show up very late in qualifying here, obviously just doing the bare minimum to get through, and then when it comes to when it really counts, pushing his car to its limits. But very, very impressive 124.5 here in the Mercedes, looking to push through onto pole.
Oh, he is historically quite a good qualifier. Really, the only driver that's much better than him. You're looking at Jake and Immortal. Very similar on par to where Modular Cat was as well. Started P2 at Australia, I believe. Just not had the finishes to back it up. Really, a P6, a P6, and a DNF.
Aaron, a lot similar to Dion, where he does just set very, very quick qualifying times, but then just does seem to kind of struggle under race conditions. Obviously, it's a completely different ball game when there are cars all around you. In the heat at the moment, mistakes can be made. Obviously, there are human errors involved. There are situations where you might not even necessarily make a mistake and be completely written out of a race. Like, at the end of the day, it's unfortunate, obviously, with what's been happening for him on track with, like you said, P6 finishes and a DNF. But I do think if he can keep things clean, keep things consistent, Aaron could be a surprise frontrunner as well.
Yeah, Brickrit really kicking the rear end out of his car through turn 6, but kept it pointing in the right direction. He's got 2 corners to go now. We'll see where he ends up, running slightly wide there, but still valid.
It's going to be a 126 at the best, realistically, here. Yeah, so 127.6 from Brit.
9 drivers set a time then so far. Immortal the only one to have not set one. Most cars coming back onto track now. Both McLarens in the tunnel. Daniel leading the way round for the second set of runners. Boca Dion and BZH Jake just both navigating the midway chicane. I tell you what. It's going to be a real shootout here between all 6 of those drivers. I'm going to give it. Wee Biscuits again was someone that we've not mentioned very much.
Biscuit again, I believe, was in the front line, or if not very close to such, in Canada. Set a very, very impressive qualifying in the Alpine. Was also very impressive through Q1 and Q2 as well. We do have some... Oh, hello, ooh. Daniel losing it at the start of his hot lap, and it's right in the middle of the track. He's going to need to move that car out of the way, as Dion does look to... Oh no, Dion has gone into the pits. Jake, on the other hand, could potentially stay out here.
Interesting, we'll watch that back again. Just see what happened there. I don't know if there was anything in particular that really caused it. Just
Jake is looking for a hot lap here, as obviously Daniel's lap is practically written off with that spin out on the straight. Probably lost it towards that turn leading into the checkered flag as he did begin to start. Oh, looks like Jake's lost speed as well. This track is just causing a lot of problems for our drivers here today. Still sat in P3 right now. We could see Stars potentially look to push through that as he now comes through to start his hot lap. Interesting to see this battle between both McLarens here again as they are right on each other's heels here. Mando will be looking to breathe down his neck in terms of time, looking to possibly beat him in qualifying yet again as he did in Q2.
A couple laps once again ruined by spins. Stars Orphan now setting a time. He makes his way down this long straight.
Does have his teammate Mando just behind, looking to be competitive. But it does look like Stars are just flying away from him here down this straight on sector 2.
You know that he's not going to be given any slipstream though. If we didn't see it in Q1, we're certainly not going to see it in Q3.
Not a chance. He absolutely flies past that Ferrari of Immortal. We do have a yellow flag, as it does look like there is another car that's come to a complete halt. It is the Alfa Romeo of BZH Jake there. With Stars now just coming around the back end of this track, looking to get a relatively impressive time here. Does not seem to be taking these turns very well though towards the back end of sector 3. It's interesting to see what he does here around this penultimate corner. He does hold 150 highs through that. Oh, it's looking like we might potentially see a 124 here from 124.8 from Stars. Does put him above Jake.
Still good.
My money's still on RSA Boca Dion, who is now out for his outlap, coming around through sector 3 here. Obviously blisteringly fast on these softs, and not a human you'd expect to see up here in terms of where he has been performing in race 4. Oh, is that cool? No, he keeps it on. He keeps it on. No invalidation there for Dion here.
Jake's on his way around for a hot lap now after he got that spin last time. Obviously didn't improve, but he's on his way down now to this new hairpin that we have to contend with before he makes his way onto the super long straight split into 2.
What are your opinions on the changes to Abu Dhabi, the Yas Mariner changes?
I miss the triple chicane. I'm one of these weird people who's a fan of the Singapore sling.
Take.
I think it's fun. Look, I think track elements that really challenge drivers and that you have to get right every single time, I think for the real life drivers, I think are good. I get it's an absolute... I get it's a nightmare on the game. Completely understand. Hated driving it. I think it's a sad thing that we're missing out on in real life. Again, same with the Singapore Sling. I mean, maybe not a track element where if you get it wrong, you retire from the race. That might be too far. But I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was interesting. I do like the big long swooping turn. That's nice as well.
We're just going to jump in here with Jake as he looks to finish his hot lap here. 125. Does just keep him behind. Not improving any time. However, Mando just behind Stars by 0.1 seconds here. We see a late upset from RSA Boca Dion. It's looking like he is currently slower than his previous time here, but looking like he's going to start at the front of the grid today. With Aaron in that front line, the Mercedes and Red Bull respectively. Similar to how a couple of years ago it would have been in real life.
Mando on a lap as well. He's got one more chance to take his second win over his teammate.
Interesting to see that Dion's lap there was slower by 0.2 seconds and still would have got him into P4.
Wee Biscuits. Oh, Wee Biscuits has spun!
Oh no.
He was on a lap and he spun out of turn 14. I've not caught it, unfortunately. I'm staying on board with Mando here because I think this is the real chance of getting pole position. He still needs to improve by 5/10, which is a phenomenal amount, and he's got dirty air in front of him as well.
And with the traffic in front of him, I can't see him improving upon the time that we had before. Oh, interesting to see there is an Alfa Romeo facing the complete wrong direction here.
Oh, and he's invalidated because he's had to get around the Ferrari. That one might be getting sent to the steward's room. We'll watch that one back in just a second as well. But
interesting there. That does look to be it for qualifying. Obviously, Jake is out right now, but is not looking to set a lap. He's just looking to make it around to the pits.
Oh, Mando not on a lap anyway. There we go. So not getting reported, thankfully. Yeah. The Ferrari just about in the way there. Unfortunate for the McLaren, but doesn't matter in the end.
Immortal's dangerous driving, obviously setting problems here already in Q3. Interesting to see how he maintains his aggressive racing style as we do now look to start going through the grid here. As everyone is now set in stone, this will be the positions which everyone starts in today. Interesting to see that none of the three people that we would have said would have been in contention for the start being even in the front line, with Stars in P3, Jake in 5 and Immortal in 6. This could be anyone's race here today.
It really could be. I mean, as I've mentioned a couple of times now, Stars was voted the man who's going to win this race by his fellow drivers, but only P3, but doesn't really matter. Doesn't mean anything just yet. Still plenty of time left in this.
Interesting pose there from Aaron, as he does set the fastest time.
Didn't want to mention it.
Yeah, we won't talk about that one.
There we go then. That's how they'll line up.
We are set in stone here today. This is how the grid does look to line up.
No incidents to speak of, thank God. I'm glad we got it done on the second time of asking as well.
Couple of spin outs though. In fact, a lot of spin outs here in Q3. We're more so in Canada. We had the problem of invalidating lap times coming down through Wall of Champions. A lot of lap times invalidated through that final chicane. However, today it looks like the problem is just going to be maintaining tyre grip, as a lot of these drivers here are just losing their rear end, going around a lot of these, not even necessarily heavy turns, but just with the amount of speed you need to hold through these turns, all it takes is just to clip that curb slightly, and you'll lose control of that car.
100%. Right, we take a short break here now while we wait for our drivers to get themselves ready. We'll stay with you, just as we let them take their time, give them 5 or so minutes to get their strategies and everything else all ready to go. Get their tyres picked out. The strategy here, it's going to be a mixed one, right? Because you're going to have some people who will be relying on a safety car, which I think is quite possible.
It's quite likely.
I think we can see Stars starting on the hards here. Stars likes to go with a weird
On
strategy.
the hards.
Yeah, Stars likes to go with a weird strategy that's not necessarily going to do him very good. He did it at Australia, and I've seen him do it before in other leagues as well. So I think it's going to be probably a hard start for Stars. He likes causing problems for himself early on. I don't know if that's going to be affected by what his teammate decides to go for, although I'm sure Mando's going to be a little bit... Oh, no, Mando says he's doing a strange strat as well, so there you go.
Oh.
Never mind.
McLaren stepping out with a very interesting approach. I'd be interested to see what they actually do decide to go with here.
Days Freak to start on the softs?
I can
Maybe.
see it. Obviously, he wants to climb up positions as quick as possible. I think if you do decide to go with softs, you're not going to get any more than 10 to 12 laps out of those tyres. So it is going to look like a 2, possibly 3 stop strategy for him here if he does decide to do said move. However, he is going to need to climb some places and quickly, obviously missing out in Q3, absolutely falling down, not managing to register a time in qualifying whatsoever. So we'll have to see obviously how this does play out for him here.
We're not getting a 5-minute break because I believe Lisa Vince might have readied up early here, which is all right. We'll jump into the formation lap instead. No calls so far for a restart, but that's okay. Hopefully everyone will be all ready to go.
Very slow start here from the McLaren of Mando.
Thank you to those of you who followed the stream so far in this race, and thank you to everybody in chat, especially the drivers. Appreciate you feeding us some information. There's a couple moments of contact there. We've got 4 drivers out so far.
Oh my. These will be 4 drivers now starting on cold tyres as well, which could of course be a rather big problem coming through in Abu Dhabi. The tyre temperature is something you do need to maintain very, very carefully around this track here today.
He didn't, but Mando started on the hards.
Interesting. Very interesting.
See, I had the feeling it was going to be one of them.
We do also have hards coming out today from James, currently sat in P11 in the Alpha Tauri. Everyone else choosing to start with the mediums as expected here today.
Yeah, it's the sensible call.
We're keeping our eyes on both front runners here, on Aaron and Dion, both not expected to be up in these positions. It'll be interesting to see how they can hold off these 2 McLarens who will be looking to break down their necks coming through Sector 1 here in this starting section. Taking it very, very wide on this slalom here is Dion, just looking to get any form of temperature out of those mediums and move onto the grid here. About to start today's race. It's going to be an expected 3-stop strategy, I do believe, for a lot of these drivers here today. Possibly a couple of 2s, depending on how they do manage to manage their tyres today. Obviously, we'll have to see what happens in terms of safety cars and other situations later on.
Here we go then, as they finally make their way. It's a very wide running Haas there. Daniel taking a big wide line. Alves, sorry, taking a big wide line there. Aaron missing his missing his grid spot, but that should be all right. Boca Dion going to be trying to chase him down into turn 1 here then. 5 red lights. They're off. They're away. We'll see who's going to get a good start here. Great starts from the McLarens.
James climbing 3 off of this starting straight, moving very quickly. Mando moving into P2 here, getting the double overtake. Very impressive start here from this McLaren here. We also have Cryptic Sinners, who somehow moved 5 places off up the grid, as Immortal has dropped 6. What a start we have here. What is going on here for Immortal as he's just plummeting down.
Spin.
We do have Stars here as well. Also Dion looking at this.
Oh no!
Hello. What's going on there?
Mando and Bocadillon hooking wheels as they make their way down the straight. Yellow flags flying. There's not going to be any overtakes. They both pulled off to the left-hand side as they made contact with each other and got pulled all the way over towards the wall. Both were very lucky to avoid any wing damage.
As well. Very, very lucky there. That could have been a very, very big incident. RSA Bocadillon dropping. Oh, but gaining places now here as both of them two were obviously in P1 and P2 respectively, have now dropped into 13th and 14th. We do have Stars here though looking to breathe down the neck of Aaron in this Mercedes. Stars had been having such a good defensive drive last week. Let's see if he can manage to hold off his biggest rival in the Drivers' Championship here of Jake, as he does look to come up around the inside here, coming through on this first lap, see if he can get an overtake moving through, give himself some confidence later on in today's race.
Jake as Wee Biscuit's right up behind him. He's putting a lot of pressure on right now. His teammate Thor's deciding to just sit a little bit further back, which I think is the smart move for now. We'll see how this goes as they make their way into Sector 1 for the second time. This is where we can see some carnage start to unfold as the dirty air upsets these cars. But looks like everyone's making their way through fairly safely for now. And back onto this straight. Cars got to be careful now. They've seen what can happen if you get too close. That can't be how Mando wanted to start this race.
The defensive ability of Stars is not going to do Jake any favours as well, with Wee Biscuit looking to get the overtake in the Alpine. Stars will probably hold off Jake here for at least another couple of laps, while Biscuit is just going to look to close that gap on the Alfa Romeo and possibly look for an overtake. Thor obviously not too far behind as well, with Alpine both in 4th and 5th. Looking so far like this is a very good race for Alpine. We'll have to see how that goes. James, however, moving his way up into P6 here as well. He's climbing up the grid as well, moving so far back into the points, pushing this Williams to its limits as well.
Very close at the front.
Action around here. Very interesting action between 7th and 3rd, all within a second of each other respectively. Aaron is absolutely flying away from the rest of the pack right now though.
He is. That gap is falling. It's not as strong as it previously was. He sets the fastest lap so far, but he was up to 1.5 seconds at one point there. DRS activated, so hopefully we'll see a few more overtakes.
Straight away on his teammate. RSA Bocadillon setting fastest lap again. Looking like he's going to want to push up from that position where he is now. Ended up dropping 10 places from where he was pre-incident. Not where he wants to be right now.
No pit stops so far though, which is good news.
Hopefully no damage. Immortal has worked his way back up the grid into a respectable P9. Hopefully, obviously that spin did cause some issues. We do have a car stopped on track though, and it's the Ferrari of Cryptic.
2 cars.
Oh, and the Haas. The Haas could possibly get in the way here of Lisa's Alfa Romeo. It does seem like it has been avoided. That could possibly be some damage. 3-second time penalty for Biscuit there though for corner carring already. This early on in the race could be a big issue for their race.
Alpine switching positions there.
Looks like they're allowing Thor to get the overtake to try to close this distance on Jake, who is looking at Stars here. Only 0.2 seconds between these two. Having a very good battle at the front of the pack. You just turn your attention here to P6 and P5 though, as it looks like James and Biscuit and Thor are all having a very good battle here.
Yeah, Biscuits has let Thor through, but he's not pulled away as much as I think they'd hoped. So now Biscuits is right up the back of him, and it's allowing James to catch up as well.
Not a position Alpine want to be in, as they could potentially drop down the standings here. A relatively spaced out grid right now, apart from Biscuit, who does look to be breathing down Thor's neck here. Hopefully that doesn't cause too much pressure on his driving teammate, otherwise we could potentially see a bad racing from here for Alpine. Yellow flag as Dion has span again. Can't seem to handle the pressure of race conditions in this Red Bull. Dion still not getting any grip here out of this Red Bull.
Alpine switching again. This might be a double overtake. James is going very, very deep. Just about gets it slowed down.
Looking to get onto the second Alpine. Oh, just managed to hold his car through that turn. We do have Days Freak still climbing now, pushing up into P9, further up the points. He did start from P16, has climbed 7 positions in 4 laps so far. Are we going to see James potentially make a move here on Wee Biscuit coming round into the 5th lap as he does push this AlphaTauri very hard around Sector 3. Both Alpines now pick up time penalties as Thor has plummeted down into P10. What on earth's gone down over there?
Bit of contact made coming through turn 6. James made a very big lunge down around the outside, and Thor decided to swing left to try and avoid it. Bounced over the curbs, had a half spin, managed to keep it pointing in the right direction just about, but lost 6 positions in the meantime.
Oh my. We also have Mando not covering himself in glory here, obviously after that incident with Bocca Dion moving down into P8. We do have yet another spin out from Dion as he drops right to the back of the grid. Those tyres have got to be on fire right now. We need to get into the grid and look to replace those not too...
Overtake mode and ERS engaged for Immortal as he makes his way down to turn 6. He's going to try and make a double overtake as well. Wee Biscuit planting his car perfectly in the middle of the track. It doesn't really matter. Immortal gets a helping hand through the corner and a nudge from the driver behind.
We do have Jake here now, also overtaking Stars, by the way, pushing himself into P2. What an overtake we have here, coming round into the end of Sector 3 here. We also have Biscuit and Immortal having a great duel over there as well. Jake looks to be getting away from Stars. 0.8 second lead at 0.9. Looks like Jake has managed to get past the defending champion. Obviously,
no!
Have a big gap.
Big wing damage for James on the hards. Couldn't get it slowed down enough to avoid hitting the back of Immortal. He's lost a huge amount of his front wing on the right hand side there. No end play at all. It's all his doing, unfortunately. Into the pits he goes. It'll be the mediums for him, surely. Oh, not a great start for James at all. Now had a phenomenal drive to get up to P6, and he's thrown it all away.
Aaron is absolutely steaming in the competition with a 3-second lead right now. Jake is trying to close it down to his best efforts after getting past Stars, but it's not going to be an easy feat to make up those 3 seconds worth of time here. Immortal still looking to climb further up the grid, looking to take Biscuit place here. Obviously a big gap between these guys and the podium. We have Simmons overtaking James, who has now gone into the pits. Is going to drop down some place here, and I doubt did want to pit as early as they did, but should potentially come out here just in front of Alvarez. We have an interesting duel here with Mando as well, who is wheel to wheel here with the driver he is next to. Let's see what he can get. Oh, almost contact there with the Alfa Romeo of Brickwork. That could have been very, very bad. Very, very interesting fight here, though, just around the drivers who want to score the points, as Mando does push past into P9, as does Thor, pushing Grit out of the points. Mando is now pushing this McLaren to the speed we do expect from him, obviously setting a very, very good qualifying time, just plummeting down very, very sadly afterwards. Aaron increasing that lead even further now to a 3.7. Absolutely flying today in this Mercedes.
Yeah, really managed to take advantage of the situation that he found himself in there and pull away early. I thought he was going to struggle, to be honest, and he's proved us wrong. That spin, well, not spin, the contact made between Bocca Dion and Mando has helped him dramatically.
Oh, we lost Mando here as he spins out. Are we going to see? Ooh, just avoids crashing into the barricade there. And Mando, whilst after just managing to pick up some momentum, has just lost it all as he drops out of the points here.
Not a good day for McLaren once again.
Not at all. Daniel is looking to make a move here on Biscuit though as we come round through into Sector 3 here in this Haas. Obviously Biscuit has picked up 3 seconds worth of penalty for corner cutting. Very impressive drive here from Days Freak now. He's claimed 9 positions and moved into P7. Getting everything out of this Williams as he absolutely blitzes through the track. Almost losing it there though, round that bank turn in Sector 3. We can potentially see Days here look for an overtake 4-2 on the Haas and Alpine in front of him. All as we see Daniel lose his track grip as Days flies by. He's now in P6. What's happened there with Daniel? That is the slowest spin out I've ever seen. We also see Biscuit going to the pits, which means Days has pushed into P5. Very, very respectable race here so far from Days, claiming 11 positions.
Oh no.
Oh, Carrot, what's going on there?
Motor Carrot has... Oh, Jesus. A Motor Carrot has spun coming around the penultimate corner, and in an attempt to get out of the way, caught the curb, spun again, and that was enough to say that they were blocking the track.
That is devastating. All the drivers in the point so far are yet to pit. We do see Stars start to close down some of those distance here on Jake, though, who could have a second lead a couple of laps ago, but is now looking to break that down. Stars has got that overtake pressed in. He is good to go as he looks to burn this distance that Jake has created. James also moving his way back into the points here. Not as much drama after these first couple of laps. Obviously, you had the big incident towards the start with Dion and Mando, which Mando seems to have handled a lot better, being 5 places above the other individual who was involved in the incident. But since then, aside from the odd spin out, we've not seen too much. Still no safety car yet to go. Are you still on for your 24 lap safety car? That bet's still holding?
Certainly. I mean, as I said, I expected there to be a couple more before there, as there's more contact further down the field. That's Cryptic now pointing in the wrong direction. I thought we were going to see more drama than we've had so far. It's been a couple spins, but not much to speak of apart from that lap 1 incident there. So,
very big incident, which both drivers went very, very much off of the track. They both drifted left here, around where the pass of Daniel is. It's a shame to see so early on, as obviously Dion once again set a very impressive qualifying, but just could not hold that car. We do see James here now, speaking of other McLarens, looking to make a move here on Mando. See if he can manage to get his way around this car here before Sector 3 starts, braking very late there. So far, we've got a very good race from Alpine, both sat in P2 and P6 respectively. Be interested to see if they can manage to hold this. Aaron still flying, moving it up to almost a 5-second lead now. There's just no way to catch him in this Mercedes here. He's not been overtaken once this race, and I do believe he plans to keep it that way.
SDK Modular Cat, winner of multiple races this season, making their appearance. Who's winning this race? Modular Cat, let us know. Who's going to come out on top here?
I think it's going to be hard not to argue against Aaron with this incredibly strong lead so far.
James is hunting down Mando here, who struggled after that early incident on those hard tyres. It's not worked out for him, but we see a safety car. He might be able to get on the mediums.
Has handled that incident better than RSA Bocadillon, though, who is down in 14th after a lot of spin-outs, causing him a lot of problems here. He's just going to come across a checkered flag line here now, going into lap 10, saying a 1:37. He's going to need to start looking at potentially pitting soon, with how much stress he's put these tyres through on these first couple of laps, and spinning out as many times as he has. Liam saying he races with Aaron a lot, and he is one of the quickest drivers he knows. Aaron is holding a very impressive lead, still gaining distance here on Jake, moving up to almost 6 seconds now. It's looking like at the moment he's gaining a lap a second, which is just ridiculous speed right now. So impressive, as he has actually just gone past, and I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, has now lapped Cryptic. That one's going to hurt. Yep, Aaron has lapped Cryptic and Lisa, 11 laps deep already.
Mando's lost out again here. He's going to get past Wee Biscuits as he pulls into the pits.
Oh, James picking up a penalty though could potentially cost him finishing in the points today if he doesn't start to get more out of these 5-lap strong mediums. We do have obviously the front 8 yet to pit as they are moving around this grid relatively quickly here, but obviously going to start taking a toll on these tyres. Still a 6.2 second lead here from Aaron. Just is not being closed down here by Jake at all. You do have if anyone behind the points is going to want any chance of getting into the points here, we're going to need a safety car. That 24-second distance between the points and everyone outside of such is not going to be anything easy to come back through.
It's a three-way battle here now for P11. You've got Alves, Wee Biscuits and Boca Dion. Wee Biscuits has just pulled out of the pits, now on a fresh set of medium tyres, hunting Boca Dion, who just got that position.
Up on Dion's rear end here, breathing down his neck. The speed he's holding with Alpine. Oh, almost lose it there though through that chicane. But does just have the pace that Dion doesn't. Those tyres that he absolutely cooked in them first couple of laps just don't have anything left in them. Touch of contact there. Ooh, that Dion holds it, but that is not contact that we want to be seeing there. Oh, but Biscuit flies by as Dion gives him the way. Oh, but that is a lot of speed they're holding. Can they maintain it and not spin out? Does look to hold the car there. Driving from Biscuit as they push themselves into P11. Still does have a very big 25-second gap to close down though on Mando if they want any chance of finishing the points here today. We do have Daniel here though, who's looking at the Alpine of Thor. Obviously both drivers here on 11-lap used mediums. We're going to start to look at a potential pitting area sometime soon. Daniel doesn't have what he has in him to catch up to Thor from the looks of things. He just seemed, oh no, saying that, he does seem to get a second wind here as he pushes this car. I think all he needs is Thor to brake early on one turn and we could potentially see Daniel overtake and push into P7 here. In other news, Stars has just overtaken Jake, who's gone into the pits, as has Aaron, pushing Stars into pole right now. I think Aaron has decided to go onto the hards here, potentially. Yep, Aaron is onto hards, as is BZH Jake. That looks like that will be the tyre compound they look set to finish with today. Unless we see a safety car, this could potentially be a one-stop strategy here from the Mercedes and Alfa Romeo, respectively. Britt's still out here, coming through just behind his teammate in P5, obviously still yet to pit.
Dave's freaking Daniel into the pits as well. They're both switching out for new sets of tyres.
Looking like a lot of these drivers will be swapping out here onto the hards to look to see out the rest of today's race. As we do see a spin out towards the back from Alves, who is just trickling behind Dion here. We do have James here looking to make a move on Thor though, as he looks to gain space on this Alpine, breathing down his neck here, coming down into the midway chicane in Sector 2. He might have enough to get him on the inside here as he goes over the curb to try and hold him off. It does look like, or might just hold off James here.
Does Stars often pit this lap or does it go later?
I think Stars pits now.
Let's have a look and see.
Stars going straight into the pits there. Smart move, as we probably will expect him here to go onto those hard tyres. James and Thor having a fantastic battle here through Sector 3.
Look at the
Just
lead.
Waiting on a mistake here from the Alpine.
Look at the lead that Aaron is going to have after this.
Oh my.
Jake's going to have a lead as well.
Yeah, 5.7 seconds. Not as much as it was before the pit stop. It was pushing around 7 seconds, give or take. Mando pushing into P7, P6 now. Obviously, still is yet to pit.
I think James is going to be ahead of Stars here. Well, this is going to be very close.
Oh, James is very, very aggressive here on Stars, who is obviously on fresh tyres, but they are hards and they are not going to be heated up yet. Mando and Immortal having a fantastic battle here just behind them as well. Immortal obviously on fresh tyres, whereas Mando is still on those hards at 13 laps strong. Immortal's going to look for an overtake here on Mando as they come down this heavy straight, going into the chicane. Is he going to break off and give him the distance, or is he going to let Immortal go by? Immortal goes by and takes P5 comfortably off of Mando here on these fresh tyres. We should see him break away now as well, as obviously his tyres do have a lot more in them than Mando's, which are 13 laps strong. We do have a yellow flag in Sector 3 as Cryptic has once again spun out.
Oh no! Mando has gone for the move on Immortal. I think has made contact, and Immortal's been left off the track, parked. That's been enough to bring out the safety car, apparently.
That safety
Drive-through penalty for Wee Biscuits.
Oh, Biscuits picking up all the penalties here today. But I'll tell you what, the safety car is going to do those back runners a lot of justice. Obviously, 31 seconds between Thor and Biscuits. That's over a third of a lap.
Is absolutely phenomenal news for James, I can tell you that much as well. Mando deciding to pit too. Well. Immortal deciding to pit.
James going on to the softs here. This could be interesting.
That's a strategy. That's what you love to see.
I'm ready for this. We could see him absolutely
as well.
Fly past some of these drivers here as we come out after the safety car. It's going to be good news for Jake as well, who did have 7 seconds behind Aaron, is now looking to close that gap. Be interesting to see how we break away when the safety car does decide to go in here.
Days Freak, the lone Williams driver, up in P4 as well.
I told you, I don't know what it is about this guy. He doesn't do qualifiers. He refuses to sharpen the qualifiers, but when it counts, he drives, and he drives fast. The speed he holds in his Williams is just so impressive.
2 lap old hards. He can take those comfortably to the end of the race from here. He's on the same age as Aaron and Jake and Daniel behind him. Same tyres as Stars ahead and Brick Grip behind. Yes, he's got James to worry about who's on softs, but you've got to think that those are probably going to drop off, if not die, comfortably before the end of this race.
James will possibly have to pit one more time around the mid to late 20s, which could cause him some issues unless he thinks he can maintain these softs for 14 laps. It's going to be very close.
Is Days Freak set for another podium here?
It could be. Honestly, he had such an impressive drive out in Canada, starting from the back of the grid and moving himself after penalties into P3. You could see another very, very good drive out here today from Days Freak.
I will say, I'll give you some illegal info here that I shouldn't possess, but I do. Stars Orphan on 2 lap old hard tyres, James on 1 lap old softs. James's tyres are already more worn than Stars and equally worn as Aaron's by percentage.
Oh,
he has 7% wear, which is the same as Aaron on 3 lap old hards.
7% in 1 lap. Oh, James.
As another stat, James has reached the second fastest speed in the race so far. The only driver to have gone any faster was BVB Thor, hitting 333 kilometers an hour.
It'll be interesting to see if he can look to top that as well now on these soft tyres here. I think these softs are going to be proving vital in the short term, but I just can't see them lasting with enough longevity to get him through this race. This could be a mistake for him to pit as early as he did onto the softs. Unless we see a safety car later on, this could be a problem. Cryptic a minute behind Alves, by the way.
A lap 24 safety car?
It's still on. The money's still there. On the table, good to go. I think we're going to see a very, very interesting breakaway from safety car here. Obviously a very hard track to obviously break away on the safety car, coming through that final turn of the track, holding not as much speed as you would like to, and obviously only being very short straight as soon as we do cross the line. So it'll be interesting to see if any gaps do start to show up here, if we do see any overtakes in that very short space of time in Sector 1.
Well, this is the thing. Aaron did have an absolutely phenomenal start to this race, so he's definitely able to pull ahead early doors, and I think he's going to be looking to do the same again. Don't know what he's like in safety car restarts. I know that Jake really does like to leave it as late as humanly possible, as does Stars. But some of these drivers like to go earlier. James went a lot earlier in the Canadian Grand Prix, to my knowledge as well. So, be interesting to see. I think if Aaron would need to get the pack backed up very early, but with how difficult, in particular, turn 14 is to navigate, I don't think it would be a stupid decision to go very early. Oh,
what on earth is happening?
As we are now in broadcast safety car. Maybe, okay. What? I guess the lobby was set to broadcast.
Okay then.
Right. Well, that's...
this is news to me.
Yep. That's unique.
Interesting to see that obviously off of the start of this race, Aaron did break away from the pack. However, the person challenging for him was RSA Boca Dion. Now that we have the two front runners in the Drivers' Championship, Jake and Stars looking hot at his heels, could we potentially see more pressure added onto Aaron here today and causing him to make a mistake, possibly leading to maybe a penalty, if not some early overtakes here from Jake and Stars after safety car?
Oh my.
Note to self, broadcast safety car is awful.
It's terrible. Right, there is at least confirmation on lap 18 here now that the safety car will be coming in. Hopefully...
I'm so glad I have that information on my screen.
Hopefully will be released into... Lobby glitched. Oh no, don't tell us. No, safety car in this lap. Oh, someone's regained control.
I think everyone has now.
Okay, everyone back to it. There we go. We are back to normal. We are back to normal. Right. So
we'll
now...
be keeping an eye on Stars and Days here as they possibly look to make some ground here on Jake.
He's certainly not going to go early, so we'll see when Aaron does go. I'm going to ride on board here with Stars Orphan, because I think he's going to be the man of the hour here.
Days. Actually, you know what? I'm going to pick up James on these softs.
Good shout.
If he looks to make a late upset here off of the safety car. Brakes very late there, coming through turn 1, going off track.
Oh, there's a retirement. Oh, in the pit lane though, in the pit lane. That's alright, we don't mind that. We can live with that.
Respectable.
Not much action so far,
James
thankfully.
Seemingly breaking very late here. As Biscuit does get the overtake on his teammate to get into the points. Is probably going to need to pit though on his 8 lap left hards. Not particularly great position for them right now.
Mando 2/10 behind James. Is he going to make a lunge into turn 6? He's certainly going to think about it. Does go for it.
Oh,
takes that apex.
James just giving him the outside there and not forcing contact here today.
Can't get the car back settled. So now James is going to get the chance to have a run at him down to this long flowing corner.
Don't seem to be doing James too many favours here though. Not really having the impact he expected.
No, well, he's on a substantial amount of wear already, I can tell you that. This is not gone as planned, certainly.
Is definitely going to have to pit if he does keep this tyre wear up as well. Absolutely shredding these softs, but not really gaining anything out of it.
Losing as well, losing time.
Absolutely cooked by Mando on these mediums, which look to be the smartest position to be in right now. Mando now looking to make a move here on Brit. Should get up the inside of this Alfa Romeo. No, does break very early, allowing the Alpha of Brit to go by.
Which has allowed James to catch up, but unfortunately not at the right time, and James hasn't been able to capitalise. He might gain a little bit now as they make their way down to the hairpin, but it's not going to be enough.
Looking again at this Alfa Romeo. Not being shown the inside at all. Touch of wheels there between the McLaren and the Alpha here. That could be a problem. Oh, hello. We're going to move here from Mando. Is there going to be connection here though on the inside? Oh, another touch of tyres between the McLaren and the Alpha. It does get up the inside this time.
Beautiful switchback.
An absolute war here. Mando getting that space back. Are they going to hold it through this turn though? Does look to be able to hold that lead as Immortal gets the overtake on James here as well, as does Daniel, as James takes that turn very wide. This is potentially Immortal with some very dive bomb style driving again, forcing James off track as he did so often in Canada. Immortal just seems to show no respect for any other driver on the grid, as he just seems to want to dive bomb everyone. DRS is now back online as well. This is where things are going to start to heat up and get interesting, as Stars is only half a second behind Jake here. Jake obviously is only a second behind Aaron. This is where it's all going to start counting as these boys start to push these cars to the limits.
Yeah, Aaron's not pulled away anywhere near as much as he had before, and he's used a lot of the RS in the process as well. He's down to 41%.
So he's Stars though with 90, considerably more than both the people in front of him. Obviously, Stars is looking to push this car, as is Days, who is on overtake mode, trying to gain any ground here that he can on Stars to get back onto that podium like he did last week.
This race is going to come right down to the wire, as you say. 4 drivers all within a second of each other at the top here. This is going to be carnage. Hopefully at lap 24. Not that, I'd rather everyone stays and finishes this race, but we'll find out.
3 laps to go until your prediction on that lap 24 safety car.
You can see it, can't you?
You're manifesting it. It's going to happen, as Immortal does get the overtake on Brit again. Fantastic battle happening here between 7th and 5th, as well as the battle between 4th and 1st. We've got a very, very interesting drive here on our hands. We see Days potentially look to make a move here on Stars, who's just notoriously strong at defending anyone trying to get past him. But his defending isn't doing him any favours. Jake just seems to be getting away from him, now holding over a second's lead. Yellow flag here as Biscuit's car has drawn up to a halt. He's going to get that car going again, but Backtrack is just not getting any grip out of these cars here today.
Absolutely not. Aaron's broken DRS now. He's over a second away, and Stars is over a second from Jake. Oh, Jake's found a lot of speed from nowhere there. Well, there's overtakes going on further down. Daniel's got 2 positions there. He's passed Boca Dion and Brett Grit.
Rogue position from Dion though to work his way back up into the points after that awful incident in the first lap.
He has DRS now as well on Daniel. He's going to get this done into turn 6. Daniel's got nothing to help him whatsoever. Boca Dion's going to have to get heavy on the brakes. Oh, he's released them very early.
Does manage to hold it though.
Daniel's going to take the move around the outside there. Not
neck to neck though. Here we go. He's starting to pick up some pace here now in this Red Bull. That pace he was showing in qualifying. I don't know if he's going to be able to break this 3-second lead that Immortal has on him. But, oh, hello.
Oh
James
my God.
Down 4 positions. And has had connection then with Alves as well, coming onto the track before he should have. Severe collision there, not what he should be doing coming onto the track again that early. Thor taking a position on Brit as well, but going very wide here, could potentially give him that position back, which he has. Looking at Thor now, who was looking at the Alfa Romeo here of Brit on these medium tyres here, should look to gain some ground. Interestingly, Jake has made it back into DRS zone of Aaron. Dion picking up a time penalty is not going to do him any favours here. Thor
more
also
contact.
get another penalty. Does get the overtake on Brit though by doing said corner cut.
Days Freak having to defend from Mando, who's managed to make his way up to P5.
Jake is gaining ground here on Aaron, obviously having the opportunity to use DRS and overtake in order to gain those yards. It does look like Aaron takes that exit of that turn better in order to gain that distance back again. Mando out of nowhere putting in a very respectable performance here from his McLaren, coming back into P5 from the incident. Boca Dion also in P7. Interesting to see that both of these drivers have made such a great comeback after that horrific incident. That safety car has done them a world of favours. Another yellow flag here. It looks like Dion has spun out. Luckily only losing 1 place so far. He also has no ERS. In a not very good position at all right now. Stars just holding that ERS right now, not trying to push this car. Immortal setting a fastest lap here, coming in with a 1:27.8. As Mando now looks to make a move on Days, coming through on lap 24. This is where that safety car comes in. Do we see the safety car come through? That's the real question here.
I hope not, because there's 6 drivers here who are all very close to each other, and I would hate to see any of them get crashed out at this point. Mando is right on the tail of Days, and that does worry me.
Lisa just give up and go into a wall as they are 2 minutes and 10 seconds behind. Mando gets the overtake on Days here, pushing into P4. McLaren now right next to each other. It looks like Stars will potentially hold off his teammate, especially due to his teammate having that penalty.
Don't say that. You can't jinx it.
But saying that, Stars did pick up that penalty in the final lap, causing Jake to win his first Grand Prix. Anything's on the table right now. This could be anyone's race. Maybe not Lisa's.
No, but this is where you have to give Lisa credit. No one has more dedication than Lisa. Lisa grinds out these races like nobody's business. 100%.
She'll finish. And other people won't.
And if this continues, there's only 4 laps to go, right? We've not got a lot of time. But the wear is climbing for a lot of these cars. I'm looking at the numbers. There's people who are firmly in the orange already. On hard tyres. There is every chance we see 3 retirements yet in this race, and Lisa comes out with a point.
Worm her way into the points.
It's not out of the question. It's absolutely not.
Especially as we start to see Days and Immortal both pushing onto Mando's car now, who has nowhere near the speed onto Stars. Stars looking to get back into DRS range of Jake, but seeing as Jake has the DRS zone of Aaron, he's not going to be able to catch.
Is Jake playing it safe here? Is he waiting for an opportunity? I don't think he is. I think he's just struggling to get a good run through the first sector.
He's just really quick.
Yeah.
I don't think we can take away from Aaron's drive here today. He's not been overtaken once all race, aside from obviously when he pitted. Like he's maintained this first place position, and he is not giving anyone a sniff of it.
No, it's absolutely phenomenal stuff.
Days and Immortal both giving Mando a tough time here, looking for that P4 position, trying to break up the McLarens being next to each other here on the grid.
Obviously, Days Freak is in the position where he doesn't have to make this move, but I think he'd be a lot more comfortable if he did. Especially if he wants to get a podium here. Really, he needs something to happen between those 3 up ahead, which is very possible. But he needs to make something happen. I think Mando, if he was smart and wanting to play the team game, he'd be backing these guys off. But he doesn't need to. Stars is plenty ahead, and Days is struggling to get any closer than 7/10.
I think Mando's learned that in the McLaren paddock, team games aren't a thing. Obviously, giving his teammate the advantage on the slipstream in Q1 and not receiving anything in return might have left a grudge on his shoulder, forcing him to not give any form of pushback here on Days or Immortal, letting them possibly challenge his teammate later for a podium.
I would ask the question, is that why they're only in second and not in first? But they'll be taking the lead of the championship after this race if things stay as they are.
Freak incident.
Yeah.
Immortal looking to challenge Days Freak here as well in this Ferrari, getting some incredible speed out of it, but is quite low on ERS, as is Days Freak though, about to drop into single digits here. Mando also looking at single digits ERS soon. This could be a problem here. Aaron is pushing this car here in overtake mode. Very low ERS between everyone in the front line, aside from Stars. We could see a potential late drive here from him in this McLaren, pushing on to be, as you said, the grid's favourite today.
That's the second race in a row. I think it might be the 3rd race in a row, actually. Lisa has picked up a 10-second time penalty for exceeding track limits just because she's moving out of the way for people. It's brutal. It's brutal. It's very close at the top here. It's super close.
Obviously, only 5 drivers picking up penalties so far, a considerably better showing than what we did have to deal with in Canada, with pretty much every driver on the grid picking up a penalty.
Thor's going to drop out of the points by
He
a
is.
way.
Obviously, with that 9 seconds worth of penalties, he's pushing his car too hard for what position he's in right now, and that could come back to bite him. We do have Days Freak here, though, eyeing up Mando in this Williams car, obviously having a very impressive race, driving from 16th to so far 5th. Could potentially see that rise as well in these final 2 laps. Interesting if Jake does decide to get a final push out of this Alfa Romeo, and possibly could push it too hard, causing him to get into a position where he might potentially lose his rear end and drop out of the podium. Hopefully we don't see anything like that coming through. Sector 3, yellow flag. I do believe it is just Lisa driving slowly, allowing people past.
Jake is struggling in the final sector. He's losing a lot of time in the final sector. He had that gap down to 6/10 and he lost 5/10 through the final sector.
It's happening where he goes down. He gains around 0.4 seconds around the track and then loses it all around those final 2 turns.
Immortal is very close to the rear end of Days Freak here, but he's not going to make a move into the hairpin.
No, he don't want to contact, but that is even quite close. At least you're just letting everyone pass.
Here we go. Immortal is going to make the move on Days Freak now.
He should have enough here to get past the Williams. We could see
it's going to be a double overtake. Oh, there's carnage!
Collision puts Immortal. Oh,
Immortal's round
out. Oh no! What a throw from Immortal, who had claimed them positions just to lose them straight after. Days and Mando having a fantastic duel here, going wheel to wheel around this turn here, going through Sector 3. Mando does have enough, but you got to remember he does also have them 3 seconds worth of penalties, causing Immortal to even be above him right now at this point on the grid. Days Freak choosing to leave that very wide here as we're about to come into this final lap. This is where it's all going to count. As Mando gets away from Days Freak here in the penultimate bend of lap 28. Lap 29 is now underway.
Not by enough though.
Still to play for. RSA Boca Dion looking to make a move here on Daniel around this penultimate turn.
Has Jake got anything left to get Aaron here?
He's looking to close that ERS gap, is going to push this car to its limits here to see if he can get within a second, start pushing that DRS, but it just doesn't look like he can get anything on Aaron here as he holds with this McLaren so well.
I will quickly mention here as I look over at my little cheat sheet. Days Freak has front wing damage and is currently sitting at 51% wear.
This could come back to bite him in this final lap as Immortal is going to be breathing down his neck here.
Jake's nowhere near Aaron.
Jake's just losing time on Aaron. What a race from Aaron. Not even anyone even in doubt of him winning this from pretty much like lap 5 onwards. He's not even been contested. Outside of his pit system, there was not really any time where he got overtaken. And so it just looks like he's just going to cruise around this penultimate corner, coming around the final bend now. And that's a Grand Prix win for Aaron as he goes across the line. Stars picking up a podium here as well, coming in at 3rd. As our podium set in stone then, as we have Aaron, Jake and Stars here. Days Freak going up to 4th and obviously 5th with Mando's 3-second penalty coming back to bite him. Dion is going to finish there, but then penalties are going to push him down into P8.
Thor might actually keep P10 here.
I can't see it. It's going to be very close. I think Alves, if Alves doesn't lose a second on him here, this could be Alves getting into the points.
I know Alves is going to be alright. The gap was up to 8 seconds, but I think that will
Alves
be, unfortunately.
The line here should push him into the points as he spins out somehow. That's Alves into P10. There are point holders today. James picking up another penalty. We just see Lisa close off today's race as she just cruises across the line in the Aston Martin here today.
What an absolutely phenomenal race from Aaron, yeah. Incredible stuff.
I don't think anyone can take away from him here today. But that's no disrespect on Days Freak, who once again has proven that he does not need to worry about qualifying. If he just put effort into qualifying, he would be so strong. Obviously coming from last to, I believe, 4th at the end of that.
Yeah, all the way up. Really good drive from him once again. Just outside of the podium, but hopefully better things to come for Days Freak in the near future. We'll wait for the remaining member to join here, Silky. But anyone else there that jumped out to you? Maybe a driver of the day, perhaps, or is Days Freak the man?
I do think Days Freak is the driver of the day again. You can't really argue against climbing from 16th to 4th. What a drive he's had here today. Obviously Aaron as well, not really being overtaken outside of obviously when he did decide to pit. We do have some very strong runners here.
And we're still waiting for P3 Stars Orphan to join, but I'll let you take it away, Silky, with Jake instead for now.
Hello again. It's a pleasure seeing you back here. Hopefully something we start to see obviously a lot more often, as once again you've made your way onto the podium. Annoying you didn't obviously manage to get yourself onto the win today, but I don't think that's any harm on you, as Aaron has had a phenomenal drive today. What was your strategy coming into Abu Dhabi today?
I thought medium hard would be the best thing to go for. I was tempted to go hard medium, expecting a safety car, but I don't like gambling on safety cars, so just thought I'd go with a basic medium hard.
Smart decision. Obviously your teammate Brick Grit has made it into the points today as well, picking up P9 in the Alfa Romeo, putting you in a slightly better position on the Constructors Championship, but McLaren did put out good running. There's going to be a very tough fight between you two coming through in these next couple of races later on in this season. But very respectable drive from you in P2. Obviously not managing to catch up to Aaron's Mercedes, who just could not get hold of on Sector 3. What seemed to be the thing that was troubling you in Sector 3, as obviously it just kept being the area where you just kept losing time on him?
I thought it was Sector 2 where I was losing the most time in the coming out of the DRS zones. I didn't take the 2 corners leading to their DRS zones very well. I had 2 warnings, so I didn't want to go too quickly in Sector 3 either, but I think the biggest killer was Sector 2, not 3.
Back into P2 consistently. Obviously SDK Modular Cat having your number before going up into Division 3 hopefully isn't something we start to see again, as you can hopefully challenge towards more titles moving forward, as you are now one of the favourites to win the Drivers' Championship here in Division 5.
Yeah, cementing yourself at the top. Congrats on that, Jake.
Thank you.
Aaron, then, I mean, just dominance in qualifying from, we'll be perfectly honest, seemingly nowhere. You weren't towards, or you weren't right at the top through for Q3 and Q2, and I don't think you were on many people's radar. You've been practicing for quali a lot, or was that just a wonder lap as Mando had in Q2?
I don't know where that came from, to be honest with you. I was shocked. I was like, I had no clue what had just happened.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
And then just flying high then into the race, confidence at an all-time level, and you were set.
Yeah, I just saw the gap kept increasing, and I was just like, oh, I'm on for this. And then like the safety car came out, and I got so worried, like, because I knew Jake would have had a real go at me. So.
No, that's brilliant. I mean, it's a mental game, right? I think you played it all very well there, kept things consistent. As you said, had the gap growing phenomenally in the first stint, and a 5-second gap going into the pit stops was all you needed. I don't think there's much else to say, Aaron. You kept everything very clean and very out of the way of everyone else. I'm sure you'll be happy to move all the way up from P8 in the standings there. So yeah, congratulations on the win, and good luck next week as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Cheers, boys.
We'll leave it there then. Thank you very much, Silky. I hope you've enjoyed that race as well. Really good showing from everybody there, and we'll roll on to next week. Congratulations to our podium sitters. Congratulations to Stars Orphan as well, who obviously couldn't be here for the party. But hopefully we'll see this battle between Jake and them continue into next week. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Oh, in fact, here he is, fashionably late as per. We'll see if we can get a message from him. Quickly then, Stars, as we were wrapping up.
I didn't see the party, but
that's all right. Do you enjoy that? Give us your thoughts. How did you feel? That's all right.
There's no box to tick here now, is there?
How did you feel? No. Just start talking.
Oh yeah, that was an amazing race. I was so concentrated throughout all that race with the safety car and everything, and Jake Aaron was really fast, could not there with him. Jake felt I could keep up with him, but yeah, he's amazingly fast as well. But congratulations to those two.
Well, congratulations to you two. Hopefully we'll see McLaren moving up in this battle between the pair of you continue for the rest of the season, as I was saying. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll be back next week, same time, 8 p.m. Hopefully finish a little bit earlier than 10:15. Yeah, for Division 5 RSF1, you can join the Discord. You can go on the website to sign up. All links